What's up, traders? Welcome to the Day Trading Show. Today, we sit down with the one and only Trader Nick. We're talking about automated trading, how he grew his trading business. Where did he learn how to trade? We cover a lot, and I think you're going to find that we talk a lot about things that Nick doesn't speak about in his other videos. So even if you're a loyal Trader Nick follower, you're going to find some new stuff in today's video for sure. Now, before I let you go, before I let you get into the episode, I want to let you know our live trading room is now open. We have a 3-day free trial where you can trade with us during the London session and New York session all week long, and you can watch recordings of all the sessions that you might miss. Hit the link in the description or just go to www.asfx.tv. You can sign up for the 3-day free trial to the live trading rooms and come trade with us. So enough out of me. Enjoy the episode. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So today we are sitting down with the one and only Trader Nick. Nick, what's going on, bro? How are you? It's good to see you.
Not a lot. Thank you guys for jumping on a call with me. Doing this is gonna be awesome. I have long-term love for the ASFX group because you guys are all awesome and excited to be here with you.
Dude, likewise, it goes right back. We love watching you grow. We love watching the brand grow. You guys are doing some really cool things. And I think it's cool because as we've grown our brands, we've both gone kind of in different directions and complemented each other. I feel like people probably see from the outside and think we would beef and have competition. Two young guys up and coming, growing their brand, but it's never ever felt like that, at least from my side, because you do your thing and you put me up, I do my thing, I kind of put you up. So I feel like we've always kind of grown side by side and never had to go head to head. The only head to head was you versus Tom in the trading battle for
True. And I think I lost that. So if we're going head to head, did I lose or did I win? I can't remember.
I didn't do too well. I was trying to short USJPY off 5-year highs, and you were riding USG all the way up. I got handed on that one. I think
I get a mix up. We've done a lot.
You've done a lot. I feel like you're the most often guest, Nick. You've been on even more than me, I think. So you've been on for a couple of good ones. I think the only one I lost was against Ray Vaughn, and it was literally $5. You remember that, James, when he beat me by $5?
Yeah, I think you're trying to short Bitcoin or something like that, and you won the trade, but I think he beat you. But yeah, he's
crazy.
Slightly edged you out.
I love the trading battle. It's really cool, and it's worked out well for us too, Nick. You've done some stuff with 8cap as well, separate kind of from the trading battle. So it's been good connections for us,
Yeah, for sure it has.
So I'm curious, Nick, since we were just talking about this before we started the recording, most people that are listening to this are going to know who you are, but could you kind of let the people that are maybe living under a rock know a little bit about how long you've been trading and maybe focus more on where you guys are at now? Because now you've got an office, you've got a team, you've grown this thing in the last couple of years, I think, really fast. So speak on that just to catch people up real quick, if you could.
Sure. So obviously my name is Nick. I've been on YouTube. I've been on Twitter. I'm new to Twitter. I just got sort of into the Twitter game. I've been a trader on social media for the last, I guess 3 or 4 years. And I've been trading for about 7 since the late high school days. I've done anything from stocks, futures, Forex, indices. I've sort of meandered away from different things over time, but I trade a large range of different things. I'm primarily a trend follower. I am a swing trader. I tend to sort of look for opportunities where I can let winners run and try and trail stops. And I know you and I have a different style in that regard. And I know even some of you guys on the call as well, I know generally some of your trading styles are very different than mine, which I'm always excited. Like Austin said, if you view yourself as a competitor to other people, I think you've already sort of lost in this game, because when it comes to trading or even building a brand around trading, it's not who's the best. If you're getting caught up in that, you've already missed the point. The goal is to, at the end of the day, provide for yourself, for your family, do well in this stuff, learn something about the financial markets. And I'm sure most of you guys can agree. It's everybody who I know who's successful at this stuff, they're not agonized by spending time on the charts. They really love financial markets, learning about them, learning new things, hearing about other people's styles. Yeah, I think viewing other traders as competitors is, I think you missed the point. It's sort of everyone finds their way to success over time, and all of it involves hard work.
But we know that some of those guys like to poke the bear a little bit just for the views. Like if you and me were to have a beef, bro, we could like we should have a boxing match or something. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what people want to see. They want that beef. So it gives some of these other traders attention. Where when you and me are all friendly and we're like, yeah, I want to see you do well. The audience is like, yeah, fuck this. This is boring. Like I want to see him fight. You know, literally, I feel like that's the world we kind of live in now, you know?
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm new to Twitter, and in my brief experience on Twitter, what I realize is like everyone is like throwing punches, and I'm just like, man, I thought we were just here to trade, man. Like I got no interest in the beef and the drama.
The sarcasm is so real on Twitter. It's crazy. And I feel like for guys like I can be definitely a sarcastic asshole sometimes. So sometimes it's good for me, but you're a nice guy, Nick. I don't see you being too sarcastic. Same thing with like Tom. Tom's a really James has definitely got some sarcasm. That's why he likes Twitter. But I feel like certain people, you know, the vibe of Twitter, you have to almost like put on a different hat and be like, all right, I'm going into Twitter. It's going to be dirty. I'm going to have to say some shit that I might, you know, stir the pot up a little bit, so to speak. You know, I might believe it and I might be joking, but it's controversial and I know it's going to get clicks. But I'll tell you, since, you know, you are new to Twitter, I feel like you've done a really good job at creating conversation tweets, which is something I didn't do in the beginning of my like Twitter career. You've tweeted things like, what's your best trade of this week or of this month? I've seen a couple of them and you're getting a ton of favorites and a ton of views on that. So I think that is a really good way to go about it as well, you know, on Twitter. What else are you doing on Twitter that you think is like working? Anything initially since you're new?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you guys are on the same train as I am in regards of like, I try and make content that's genuinely valuable and also exciting, because you're battling uphill when you try to make content in this stuff, when you're trying to build an audience and bring traders together. Oftentimes people resort to the easy stuff, which is to jab other traders and sort of poke the bear, like you said. That is the easy way to sort of start things. I mean, it also comes with lawsuits and anger and frustration, all that sort of stuff, and, you know, pulling your hair out at night. But I'd rather skip that part. So you have to get creative, and I think you guys all do a great job of that. You guys do great podcasts. You bring people together, conversations, and like you said, I've been dabbling with just starting conversations. Basically, I've been just trying to treat Twitter like my you know, sort of just like a community builder. Like, what are you guys looking at? Here's what I'm doing. And then I'll throw it out there and I'll be wrong in front of my new followers on Twitter. And they'll be like, what the heck, you guys, or you suck. But hey, you know what? At least it starts conversation. So if I'm just like throwing my ideas out there and throwing it out there, and if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That also builds conversation in probably the best way.
When are you going to start tweeting about like your political views and stuff like that? Because that'll really get the people going. My wife, she gets on me sometimes. She's like, yeah, I don't know if you needed to go there with that, but I'll go there because I know it gets attention. I know it gets clicks, you know?
Sure. See, I'm really, really not a really hard political person. I don't have like a bunch of like,
I feel like you're such a macro guy. And like you know the fundamentals so well. I thought you'd be tapped in with the economy and the politics of everything like that.
A little bit. I don't know. So for me, it kind of goes along with my trading style. I'm super, super reactive with everything I do. I try to avoid that concept of like calling what the next big thing is going to be. I don't know what Bitcoin's going to do in the next year. I don't know what the Federal Reserve, how well they're going to be doing with this inflation thing. What I do know is that what they share with us causes trends in the market, and understanding and being able to pick up on those trends as they're sort of forming, jumping on and holding on if I can, that's where I'm able to sort of trade and make money. Like I think like we as humans, we always want to call the next shot. We want to say what Bitcoin's going to do at the end of the year. We want to be able to tell you what the Federal Reserve interest rate is going to come out before. And it's like, yes, you can have a general forecast, you can have a general opinion, but it's like, you know, the phrase about opinions, everyone has one, right? So it's like, opinions are opinions. For me, what kind of matters is like following and being reactive to what actually happens and not sort of like tying down on beliefs. I think, I
agree with that. 100%.
That philosophy goes beyond just trading.
Yeah. I mean, of course it definitely does. And that's just saying like, closed-mindedness is the end of you in every sense of it. So it's like if you're in the same sense of being closed-minded to not accepting new ideas, closed-minded could be marrying a belief or an idea about a certain asset. Like, for example, Bitcoin has to go back to 100K, the Cathie Wood, you know, it's going to be at 100K by 2030. They give dates sometimes too. But like you said, I've been an analyst. So now I see from an analyst point of view, and now I'm I've been an active trader longer than I've been an analyst. I was an analyst. Analysts make money from a salary, not from actually placing trades most of the time.
Sure.
So like these guys, they can just say Tesla target here. Oh, actually, we're downgrading it. Oh, we're upgrading it. And they're always, I'm going to say it like this, they're never 100% accurate. I heard a good analogy recently in a podcast. You ever watch on football, like Sunday football, before they play the game, used to have Chris Berman and all the other guys, Terry Bradshaw, and they would have their predictions for the year. No one was ever like 100-0.
Yeah.
They were all of them were like just at about 50%. You remember? And like the one guy that would have a couple more wins. So I think that's a good way to look at it too. Like analysts are going to be right probably 50% of the time, and they can get paid for that. But us as traders, we have to be, I definitely agree with you, more reactive. Tom, were you going to say something about the trading from a more reactive point of view than I don't know if I heard you say something.
So I was going to bring it back to around sort of the trading and the political views, because when we battled on the trading battle, one of the things that really stood out was just how rounded Nick's understandings of the economy was, and how inflation affects prices, and how I wanted to ask, how are you combining that understanding of the fundamental side with the technical side? Because you're saying you're a trend follower, trying to hold on. Are you marrying them two together? You put weight towards one more than the other? How does that look for in your trading style?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Tom, our trading battle, I do remember our conversations. They were great. And, sometimes you get all sorts of different people on trading battles. Some people are more wanting to compete with you, but I remember ours being incredibly constructive, bouncing off each other. It was awesome. And so that's a great question, because fundamentals, I think, similar to trend following from a technical perspective, fundamentals are the same, right? It's kind of like you have, let's take, for example, the inflation number right now. Inflation is declining, right? You have all these people on Twitter and social media who are saying, yeah, but many times in the past, inflation comes down and then it starts to skyrocket again. And it's like, well, yes, but I'm reacting. So there's nothing here telling me that is going to happen. That's a gut call. That's a, hey, yeah, it happened this way in the past, so it's going to happen. Well, inflation is on the decline. And so I'm trading that. When it changes, and I'll change my opinion, but I'm not going to, sort of like lob into a bunch of like against the current fundamental trend in that regard. So that's kind of how I would marry those two. Is I'll look at the fundamentals and I'll look for observable trends, and for like the interest rate decisions or inflation numbers. I generally will sort of follow what is being forecasted, and I'll go along with that, because oftentimes those trends can exist and continue. And then I'll marry that up with the technicals, where right now, let's say that, the dollar fundamentally, let's say it's looking bullish suddenly and the charts are starting to peak up. As long as those two sort of have synergy, I will usually trade in that direction. However, if you get something like the dollar looks bullish from a fundamental perspective, looks optimistic, yet the charts are showing no signs of a bullish setup, I won't take that trade. So they kind of have to be moving both up or both down for that.
Makes sense.
I love that.
And so one of my big goals for 2023 is to improve that fundamental knowledge, because like I said, that trading battle just stuck in my head of like, I'm very green. I've got a lot of learning to do, as a lot of us all do.
Sure.
So where would you sort of recommend to try and improve your fundamental knowledge? Because I do feel you've got quite a rounded view of it all, and not just USD either. I remember you saying stuff about the euro and the pound, and I was like, this guy's got quite a wide knowledge of all economies, really.
Yeah, it's so I have sort of a unique advantage in the sense that one of the things that A1 does, my company, we do a lot of news coverage. And so outside of just myself, I have James and Frank. These are two of my team members. James is on the producer and content side, and Frank is also a trader analyst in our group. And these guys are chasing around the news all the time, covering it, writing about it, putting out videos about it, outside of just myself. And oftentimes I'm able to just sort of watch those videos and collect some of the key points that they're talking about. So it sort of synergizes well with just my process as a trader. Outside of that, you also have some great websites out there. You can really dig through Forex Factory. It has great links to different articles being put out. You can read articles. There's no substitute, I think, though, than just to sort of dive into the latest and keep up to date. Twitter is actually great for that resource as well. You can probably spend, now you have to be careful on Twitter because you don't want to veer off that railroad too far. You want to stay on the tracks pretty close, with what you want to actually, I would say, follow some of the great posters out there and just look at their posts. Do not scroll down in the comment section because you're going to very quickly veer off that.
Definitely. I mean, I don't even read my own comments. I get people, they reply to me sometimes, and it's just like, I don't even understand why some people say things like, oh, I'm not even going to begin to say them because it's just so ridiculous, the comments.
Right.
So following the right people definitely makes a big difference. What were you about to say, James?
I was going to say, Austin takes his stock picks from Jim Cramer.
Did you see today, bro? Today, Jim tweets, this is definitely a bull market, and then SPX tanks on as Powell was speaking today. It is pretty ridiculous. Funny. Did you guys see this?
But I wanted to...
Real quick. Unusual Whales released, did you see this today?
Yes.
These two ETFs that track the Democratic stock positions and then the Republican stock. It's Nancy, and then I think it's Cruz is the other one, NANC.
I did see that.
Isn't that crazy? So now you can buy it's on the CBOE, it's on the Chicago board.
Funny.
So you can go and buy this ETF now that is going to track the Democrats or the Republicans or both, the stock plays that they make, which is crazy. Go ahead, James.
That's pretty funny. But I wanted to, so Nick and I actually follow each other on Twitter, and I was going to ask, this is based off what Tom was asking about. So you tweeted 2 days ago, I don't use indicators often in my trading, but I've never understood hating on them. Indicators don't lag any more than observing price action. Most of them are literally using price action to display something. Example, RSI. So for your technical analysis, what are you using? Are you using purely price action? Are you using indicators? What are you using in order to determine your entry positions with your swing trading?
Yeah, that's a great question, and really an important. I know with you guys, especially, I know that you keep indicators in view when doing a lot of your trading, and I've never understood that concept of like, oh, you use an indicator, you must be a moron. Price action is king. How many times have we heard that chanted all over the place? Yep. I mean, the thing is, I do use very, very simple technical analysis in what I personally do. I mean, I use the same stuff everyone uses: market structure, support and resistance. I like fib retracements, and all that sort of stuff. That's in terms of how I'm looking to enter and exit, that's what I'm primarily using. Now, to go back to what Tom mentioned about the fundamentals, where I spend a lot of my time diving into that stuff, that is really where I derive most of my directional bias. So if I'm like looking at the dollar or the euro or whatever, I generally will spend a lot more time understanding the fundamentals, collecting sort of trends that are going on there. And then I'll actually use the technicals for entries, stop points, managing risk, that sort of stuff, the sort of the green lights and red lights. Because one of the big pros about fundamentals is it can be really helpful in picking a direction. One of the biggest cons about fundamentals is it gives you no indication as to when to get in and when to get out and know you're wrong. Because, if you're a purely fundamental trader and the dollar looks bullish and it sinks lower, you have no explanation to get out. You're supposed to stay in that. You're still fundamentally bullish. So technicals marry up beautifully with fundamentals in that regard. You can add confluence of direction and then technical analysis with it. So from technical side of things, from an entry exit standpoint, which probably makes up 50% of my trading decision or even slightly less, I'm using simple stuff, break and retests, trend following, higher highs, higher lows, lower lows, lower highs, the simple stuff that you always hear, the retail strategies, if you will. They have worked fine for me for years. So just marrying it up with the fundamental side of things is also what has really helped in my journey.
And when you're looking at that fundamental bias to determine the direction and maybe the strength, how far into the future are you looking for that then? If you're saying you're a swing trader, because I saw in January that you had like your best, one of an exceptionally good month, as you put it, but you were almost taking like trades a day, or it looked like you were making profit majority of the time. So how does that look from your point of view? How many trades, etc.?
So that particular account is done on Webull, and Webull is a U.S. stock brokerage, and that calendar specifically shows you unrealized daily profit and loss. Which the reason that is important to clarify is that if I was to show you that month, not every day was I closing trades. So even though it was showing the unrealized gains or losses, I don't even know if they have a realized gain calculator. That would be cool to check. But I know that is particularly just unrealized and realized gains lobbed into the same thing. So that particular month, January, was really, really solid. It was primarily, and like I said in that post, not every month is that good. It would be fantastic if it was, but
one day.
In one day, right? Yeah. So, but primarily on that month, it was a lot of long side action on the gold market. I was trading that pretty actively, and then also the indices, trading the S&P, NASDAQ, primarily there. So there was not like new trades every single day, though I was pretty active. I'd probably say 2 or 3 a week, which is active for me. I'm nice. A swing trader. So
I was going to push you on that. Active. I wanted a number, Nick. So 2 to 3 per week is about on average. Will that only be 2 to 3 because you're looking at a select group of assets, or are you looking at a lot of assets and you just happen to narrow it down? Because, some people have the perspective, less pairs I look at, more focus, and I've kind of shifted in that direction a little bit, but I also used to see the value in looking at 15 or 20 things and trying to pick the best one. Where do you sit? Yeah,
that's a great question. I think that I watch a lot. I watch a lot of pairs, but mostly because as we may discuss a little bit later on in the call, A1 is sort of really headed down the software development route. I have a background in software engineering, and we've started in the last year or so working on some software tools for traders. And the reason for that was because on a private sort of selfish bias, if you will, like I wanted something to help me look and watch more pairs, because I do have interest in trading the euro, the dollar, the yen. I think that for new traders, it's so much better just to stick to something very narrow and stay there. And that's fine. For me, though, with fundamentals constantly changing, I needed something that was like, okay, well, if I only trade the dollar, but there's nothing fundamentally happening for the dollar, or nothing like super exciting or a strong bias one way, but there is something happening in the euro, I should be able to keep track of the euro as well. So we've sort of done a lot of that through software to sort of monitor economic figures like unemployment, inflation, GDP, all that stuff. Combining that into a watch list to sort of build a bias has been really, really useful. So you asked if I watch a basket. Well, I do, but that basket is constantly changing on biases, and
depending on what the fundamentals are saying or whatever. What's exactly hot on the market. Got it. Yes. That makes sense. Because then you want to move into something like, I remember, I think it was last year, at some point, GJ went on a 6%, 7% trend to the upside. You want to know what's going on with the yen, that we want to be involved in that trade. So that makes sense. Like, you're going to shift based on what the fundamentals are doing. Do you feel like the fundamentals now are harder to react to than maybe a year or two ago when we were clearly bullish? Or do you feel like this uncertainty that some people would say we're going through now actually makes it easier for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because I think when it comes to like fundamentals in 2022, I was so tired of being bullish on the dollar, but all the factors that we watch just kept being, the dollar looks hot, the dollar looks hot. Yep. And it did not change for so long. In fact, I think, Tom, you and I, during our call, we talked about how bullish I was on the dollar at that time. It just hadn't changed. There was now I didn't take only wins. I had plenty of losses within that bullishness on the dollar, but the overall picture of the dollar was so strong last year, whereas this year it's been mixed, and you have the indices starting off really solid this year with a little bit of that inflation story cooling down, but still mixed, because you have, again, interest rates still high. We just had the S&P 500 move down pretty solid as we're talking, with some with some more dovishness coming in, or hawkishness, sorry. Right. So you have all of this stuff going on, and it can be very, very tricky to track fundamentals because they change day to day. Yeah. That was really where, fundamentals, I think that if you do want to trade with fundamentals, the problem with it is that you've got to spend probably an hour a day just keeping up.
Not only that, you have to know what they are. I feel like I feel like when I got started in trading, I ignored the fundamentals out of ignorance. And I was like, nah, I'm just going to figure out the technicals. And I definitely cost myself more losses because I didn't take the time to learn them in the first place. So not only do you need to do the research, so you're not just following one source down the funnel of what that news means, you need to learn what does that news actually, entail, who is going to be impacted. And what I've noticed too, tell me if you think this is important to mention for some of the guys that are newer as well, or maybe you feel differently, but like the news events that are important change over time. CPI did not matter as much before 2020. No one cared about it. Inflation was so low at 2%. No one was talking about it. It didn't move markets. Now CPI is like the fireworks, right? So it's interesting how they change over time. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, man, there's so much there that's important about sort of trying to understand the fundamentals. Here's the thing about fundamentals. They are similar to technical analysis in the regards that there is a level of subjectivity to them.
Yeah.
Not only that, I mean, when you go to social media and stuff, you have people who are perma bulls, perma bears, and they have one view of what the market should be doing, and they paint fundamentals in their favor, whatever they want the market to do.
Confirmation bias.
That's the danger, because it can be very subjective, similar to technicals where you can draw charts and you and I could draw a chart. It looks different, right? So that's why I say everyone has an opinion. Regardless of your opinion, I think that like holding loosely onto opinions is really, really important. And you also mentioned, Austin, something really important there is, I know, at least I'm not sure if you're still this way, but for quite a while, you were very on the day trading side of things, lower time.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I think one thing, myself included, before I ever sort of found my style that I'm at now, similar to you, I totally ignored fundamentals, was not really into that. And I thought that fundamentals had nothing to do with day traders. And that's so incorrect, because fundamentals, I don't know. I think you're familiar with, do any of you guys know SMB Capital, that group in,
of course.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, so like they talk about, I love their videos. They've got great videos on YouTube. And they talk often about like a fundamental bias today, right? So there's like some big news event, like a catalyst, like CPI, that can cause a run up or a sell off for the entirety of a day. So day traders, knowing the full story and hearing, oh, CPI just came out hotter than expected, knowing what that means when you step into your chart as a day trader or a swing trader is important, because it can really build into your bias of like, oh, that's a really hot number. Lots of money is going to be pushing one way for probably the entirety of the day. Right. That stuff, that comes from understanding like the full picture of fundamentals. But the biggest thing about fundamentals that I've found is they're way more difficult than technicals. Technicals are pretty straightforward, right? I mean, yeah. So
that's why it's easy for people to ignore them and say, I don't need to trade fundamentals, especially for the day trader. But I totally agree with what you're saying. I would even add to it that I've been trading all year this year, SPX, that's all I've traded. I would say that as I've been and I was focused on that and Bitcoin a lot to finish the year, like from like the summer of last year to finish the year. And I would say that studying just those couple of assets, being focused on how those two are working together and the fundamentals, not only would I be able to like look ahead and say, oh, this is happening at today, 2 o'clock, whatever, 12 o'clock, Powell is speaking, so the market's moving. I would be able to look ahead and on certain days and say, I'm not even going to trade before that news event because I know we're going to probably get consolidation. Everybody's waiting to see. So just having the awareness of what events are important because you've been through it, you've been through that experience, then you can say, I'm going to save myself money by not taking this could be signal because I know in 2 hours there's a big news event that's going to be crazy. So I think like that's another area where as a new trader, you can, yes, news can be used to generate trade ideas, but it should also be used to help you avoid bad trades, I think too,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think like that's the thing is if you do this stuff, people often wonder like, why can't I learn to trade in a year? It's because of this stuff. This stuff is not as easy as, a moving average crossover. Let me go long. Let me go short. 100%. Like if it was that easy, it would take everybody a week to learn.
Right. And everyone would be trading. You can learn entry signals. You can learn candlesticks and what they mean and things like, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to apply it directly to, and not only make money, but apply it correctly. The thing about trading that screws everybody up, I think, as well, is like you get into most other businesses. If you do your job correctly, you get paid. If you do your job wrong, you probably might not get paid. You might have to get, like, if you're a contractor or whatever, you might have to give some money back. You got to do a good job to get paid. In trading, you could do everything right and still lose money. Not only not get paid, you actually lose. People have a really hard time wrapping their mind around, I did everything right and I lost, So I think that, and I'm bringing that up because I want to talk to you about one of the bigger issues I think traders struggle with, but I think that it amplifies this issue that I'm seeing everywhere, which is undercapitalization, which is going to lead me into my point that we got to talk about prop firms for a second, because you and I have some disagreements on there, but I saw you just partnered with a prop firm. So maybe speak on that a little bit, because undercapitalization, I think, makes traders make stupid trading decisions. When they don't have enough money, they're forcing trades, they're over trading. We know all the mistakes they make. So what have you seen as far as, do you see that is an issue? And then maybe speak on how the prop firm that you guys have partnered with could help traders.
Yeah, I would say, in my opinion, that area of trading is the absolute number one problem in the industry. Is people who don't have money coming into the trading world and thinking that it's still a place for them, because the unfortunate truth is that the markets are not very accommodating to people who don't have any capital.
Correct.
And I think why I say that's the number one issue is because people, when they hear me say something like that, when I post about that, the pushback is real, because what they do is they don't like hearing that, because they're like, well, then I can't, what am I doing here? I can't do anything here, right? So that's what you're telling me. Screw you. You're wrong. You can make 20% a month. Right. That's the response that I get. And it's that mindset. It's not, I'm not coming at them because I'm trying to help. But the thing is, that reaction is natural. If someone were to tell you, like, you're too young to play on the playground, you'd be like,
great example.
Screw you. Yeah, I can play on the playground. And they may be completely right, but they don't like the way you're delivering it to them.
Right.
I think where prop firms are cool, and I've always had sort of an ebb and flow with prop firms. Some I like, some I dislike. I think the biggest thing with prop firms is that if you find a prop firm that has reasonable rules that fits your style, and Austin, you, Boris, and we had a great conversation about that on the Trading Battle, about find the prop firm that's right for you. If you can find one that is right for you, the problem is not capital. The problem is finding the ability to actually trade profitably, and then finding a prop firm that suits you, because then you can actually solve that problem of not having capital. The problem is most people, they hear like, oh, you need a lot of capital to make money, and they say, oh, screw off, and they try and make 20% of the month. They blow their account and they go away silently, and then the next wave of people comes on with their angry comments about.
But that is the opposite of what they should be doing in reality, because now there's more opportunity to get capital than ever before. So it's actually like double twisted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that Austin. So I guess I've made that point for years, where I've tried to push back on the small accounts. I'm going to make it into a $10,000 account. And my approach has always been, let me show you the math. This is dumb, yada, yada, yada. And there always is a pushback. Some people get it, but a lot of people are just annoyed with me when I do that.
Yep.
Like you're saying, probably the more constructive path is to show them why 2% per month is fantastic if you can do that consistently, because you can get funded, you can go that route, or you can go the boring, slow and steady route, which is save money and eventually have capital that's meaningful, worthwhile. But I think, that point with prop firms, the biggest pro that I see with prop firms is it makes that point more understandable and acceptable to people who hear that. Because again, if you just say, yeah, you need $100,000 to make any decent money in this stuff, they're going to say, screw you, you're not right. But if you say you need $100,000, I know most people are not going to have that when you start. But if you can do 2%, prove it to a prop firm and trade their capital, suddenly you're in the running.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's probably, and maybe I'm speaking from personal experience, and Tom and James, you could comment on this, but I would think it's a little bit of the insecurity of the individual when you go at them and say, hey, bro, your $5,000 or $1,000 or $500 account, it's not going to do it for you. I've been very lucky that in our mentorship group, the Black Shirt Club, I've had a couple of people come in trading live accounts, small money. And when we sit down, I don't even let them sign up before we have the conversation of, hey, in order for me as the coach to help you the most, I'm actually going to say take that live money out, because that small money is not going to give you the satisfaction you want financially. It's going to make you build bad habits. Let's go to demo for a few weeks and then go to get funded. And we've had most of the people that I speak to, they're like, okay, I trust you. You guys have proven you can do this with other people, so we'll follow that path. But some people, I'm sure, are like, I don't know. But I think that they just haven't been exposed to the potential gains. I think you could put your own insecurity aside. If you see, hey, man, 2% of $1 million is more money than I would make if I keep trying to flip this $2,000 account. You know, I think you just have to maybe show the people a little bit more. Tom or James, do you want to comment on that a little bit?
Yeah,
so
okay.
Go on.
Okay, tell me. Personally, I love prop firms. I think it gives, as retail traders, this wasn't available, okay, before FTMO was around, but call it 5-10 years ago, it wasn't available. And now I think if you can just prove to yourself that, as Nick was saying, like 2% a month is a great return on investment, because if you have capital behind your name, all you need is a bigger trading account size to be able to make the money worthwhile. If you're trading a $10,000 trading account and you're making, let's just call it 10% per month, right? That's $1,000 a month. But if you have $100,000 behind your name, you're making $10,000 a month. You're making the total of the whole capital that you were trading with. So personally, I love them. I think it's a great stepping stone for retail traders.
Yeah. And I think, Nick, you've partnered with a firm now that, not partnered, but you are doing some promotional stuff with. I'm doing it similar with Surge Trader, the one that Boris is affiliated with. I like these firms that don't have the time frame. The firm I saw you guys promote does not have a time frame, correct?
That was the big one for me. Is you can hold over the weekend, and there's a longer extension on how long it takes. Those were sort of criteria that I know I had spoken with you and Boris about. Those, especially for swing traders out there, that gives us a little bit more room to do our trading and to show it off in a longer period.
Well, it shows they care about you actually trading well. If you're a good trader, but their rules say, hey, bro, you got to close by Friday. Well, what if my trade is on Thursday? Like, and I'm swing trading this, I need to hold till Wednesday. You got to this is where, and we spoke to the guy who runs, one of the guys that's running Surge Trader, where Boris is affiliated with. And he was saying, it's really easy from his perspective as like the business owner on the prop firm side. He's like, it's really easy for us to look at our competition and say that is a feature of their challenge that does not align with them wanting good traders. And now we're just going to build something opposite, similar to the firm you guys are promoting, and just align ourselves with actually showing that we want really good traders. So I feel like if you look around, like in any industry, you'll find scams, right? Like, again, I have a family member who paid for a guy to come do a pavers in their backyard. He took half the money and never showed up. There's scams in everything all the time. But I think if you go around and do research like you did with the firm you guys did, I like what Surge is doing. So it's like, there are firms out there that are going to be great and offer amazing opportunities to traders. And I feel like if I was new right now and you told me learn, and then you could go get funded with $1 million, I would love it. And now I say that in hindsight. In the moment, I might be like the guy you said, Nick, and be like, yeah, screw you. I'm still going to put 10,000 in and try to make this work and learn. And that's what I did. And I lost that money. So it's like, I think that there's still a little bit of stubbornness in new traders. This is actually a good question for you, Nick. Do you think, because you coach traders and you speak with people, do you think all successful traders are stubborn?
All successful traders are stubborn
to some degree.
I think naturally, yes. I think naturally, yes, because there's so many predispositions when it comes to trading before you actually become profitable, that you have to shed so many layers of skin before you actually get profitable, I think. So yes, I would say so. I think there is a level of stubbornness. I mean, I certainly was. The longer I've done this, the more I've realized, like, my ego over time has just like dropped.
Well, that's with age too. Age and experience help us go in that direction. What do you think, Tom? Do you think all successful traders are stubborn?
I think you have to be, to a degree, just to even try and get to being successful. I think many people, if you weren't stubborn, you'd have quit a long time ago, because of what Nick is leading to, is just how hard it is. And if you've not got that in that, you'll quit before you get there. I do think it is part of the makeup that you need to become successful in this career, because it's so hard. You change so often along the way.
Because you have to balance, now that we're talking about it, this idea just came to my head. You have to balance being stubborn with adapting at the same time. So you have to be stubborn and confident in the good way, but that part of your brain is going to not want you to adapt to changing markets and maybe switch your strategy, switch your take profit way, switch your management. Like you have to balance these two almost polar opposite characteristics, which is maybe part of the reason why trading is so difficult, you know?
So it's the conversation, the weekly, I'm just thinking back to like the weekly call that we have with the guys in the Black Shirt Club and teaching and coaching them. You're saying that you have to be stubborn because you have to be stubborn to continue to do it. But at the same time, like you're saying, you have to adapt, because if you don't, you keep making the same mistake over and over and over again. So at some point you have to say, hang on, I need to drop the stubbornness in this small part of my trading to get to the other side. And then you go through that cycle again. So yeah, you do have to keep knocking that wall of stubbornness down now and again.
And it's like that balancing game. So Nick, you mentioned that you guys in the office are moving in a more software development, more like call it AI direction. We just did an episode a couple of weeks ago about how will artificial intelligence impact trading. You want to speak on that a little bit? I'm curious to know if you have any takes or any important information you could share with us about like the future of AI and automated trading.
Yeah, for sure. So I think the automated trading world has been upon us. That has been, in terms of here's the thing. I went to school for software engineering, and everyone in the software engineering department is savvy that the people who make the most money in software engineering are on Wall Street. They know that the biggest money always goes to the guy who can build the money machine. It's really straightforward, right? Wow. If you were the Wall Street hedge fund guy and you could hire a kid out of school that's going to make you infinite money, how much would you pay him? As much as he wants, you know?
Right.
So yeah, so that's kind of there's this story. I watched a documentary where this guy who built some sort of like front running algorithm for stocks, he built this thing where it would basically track orders going through the internet somehow. Spoofing. And he would get in front of them.
He was reading the spoofs, right?
Yeah, reading the spoofs, and he was jumping in front of it and buying and selling very quick on really quick transactions. It's been a while since I've seen this documentary, but I know he sold it for several millions of dollars to Goldman Sachs. Wow. And so that stuff gets absorbed by the big guys. So, and that's not new. This has been going on since the 70s, since the 80s, since the 90s, and it's only going to continue with AI and stuff like that. That software, it's kind of like when 9/11 happened, the first thing the airports all did is they went to the best security places in the whole wide world, which was Las Vegas. Why? Because they're protecting their money on the tables. Wow. That's the best place. It's a private industry that's protecting their own assets, right? Same thing with Wall Street and high frequency trading, algorithmic trading. They're the best in that stuff by far because it's where the most money in the whole wide world is. So it's kind of an interesting little study. I think AI in terms of trading has been on a fast-paced race for decades now. The question is, how much does that impact us? I think the unpopular opinion might be that it doesn't actually completely rule us out because there's still a lot of discretionary stuff. I mean, what I mentioned to you guys, subjective trend following and fundamentals and technicals, that's not necessarily something an AI specializes in. An AI specializes in finding arbitrage and
for now, you say that until you build a TraderNick duplicate, and it's like
until there's another one of me that can do everything better and never goes to sleep.
You're speaking on the Wall Street institutional side. What about like on the? Because I agree with you that AI has been here, and I said when we did that episode, I was like, look at James uses a trade copier. That's a form of an AI in a way.
Yeah.
It's a very basic level AI. So can maybe even the software that you guys have with A1, that's a form of an AI, isn't it? Where it's gathering information, pulling it all together, and then spitting out something where it's easy to read, easy to digest. So maybe speak like the retail side. How do you think it's going to impact the retail traders?
Yeah. So I think one of the coolest things with sort of our projects, I mentioned my background in software engineering, and kind of what I found is that a lot of these awesome features and tools that institutional level people have access to, there's no reason why the retail trader can't start to slowly get more and more of that. And that's kind of been the trend that's going on. So our efforts in terms of software design and building tools have been to try and bring institutional data down a notch, bring it to people everywhere. And I think that that's kind of the path of the Internet of Things in general, is like more data to everyone, more freedom of information. And the Edge Finder, which is our software tool, it's not in any sense some sort of crystal ball magic indicator. It's really, like you said, it's just simplifying data and making it easy for people to use. We've done the grunt work of pulling all this stuff and bringing it into a single terminal, if you will, meant specifically for the currency world, the indices world, in a really simplified manner for, I guess, the average retail trader. So I think it's never ending sort of upgrade in that way. I think retail traders kind of cool in the regards to now they're getting prop firms, they're getting all sorts of data and stuff like that. All the tools are coming to everyone. I think that's
cheaper, kind of it's getting faster. Did you see they said 25% of all stock traders are now retail, like day, or they called them day traders. It said 25% of volume, whatever, was day traders. So I think that percentage of traders, you can look at the central bank survey. They do it every 3 years out of the BIS. They've shown that even on the Forex side, the retail side is growing, especially in places like Hong Kong and in China, they're seeing a huge explosion of people just getting into the day trading space. So now you've positioned the company where you're going to be moving almost, it feels like, if there was two places, and tell me if I'm wrong, of course you could go anywhere. You could start a strip club in the office, but I'm saying as a trading office, there's two main routes you go. You either open a trading floor and you try to get traders in there with your own firm capital or their own capital, whatever it is, or you go this route of like providing more of the service based. So did you guys pick that, or are you still maybe thinking about bringing people in? Like, where are you guys sitting on that?
So yeah, that's very interesting, because I think the fork in the road that we chose certainly has been, the two options are education or software or services. And we've definitely gone the software because it's really aligned with myself and my team's.
What goes with your background?
Interests.
It's honestly, I think it's way more scalable. The guys who make a ton of money are the SaaS businesses, bro, selling software.
Sure.
They crush it.
Yeah, and we've found that to be a really, really cool project, and also something that we're really passionate about. And when I say we, myself and also Frank, he's my right hand guy. We've traded together for years, and he's been a key part in building the software and going down that route. Yes, it's been a different change. In the last year, we've completely changed gears as a business, far less on the education side, much more on just the the services and building tools for traders, because there's a really big gap in that area. I think even Tom, like our conversation where we were like on the trading battle, and we're like talking about fundamentals, just over that time, I just realized how much of a there was sort of like a need for something in that regards. And just with my background in software, I started tinkering, and sure enough, that's taken over the complete direction of the company. So
is that what's allowed you to, sorry, I was going to say, is that what's allowed you to now have a team of, what do you have, 6 people, 7 people now that are working for you?
Yeah, we've got 8 in the office and 3 remote. So we are, and we're here in Atlanta. So it's definitely way more people demanding, because you're talking about projects that you build software and then you have to maintain it, and then people have issues and people need training. And
what are you doing? Are you selling that as a subscription? Or people paying for that as a subscription?
We actually do. It's just one-off. You pay for access, you get in, and part of the reason we've done that is because the project itself has been a several $100,000 investment on the company side. What we've done is we've made it so like people who have bought into the software early on have helped us in the funding department, because again, it's a very costly thing to build and maintain,
for sure.
But basically just saying like, hey, if you get in on this now at these prices, you'll be supporting our project and you'll have access without paying again. So that's been our way of doing it. And
now is the future going to be staying in Atlanta? Are you going to come to Florida for the taxes? What's the move? Because you're wearing a jacket. It's probably a little chilly there. It's 75.
It is kind of cold here, man. It is. For now, I love Atlanta. My family's here, and a lot of my friends are here. So.
I figured you, because you're from Atlanta, correct?
I am. Yep.
Yeah. So it's tough to leave the family, but Florida's got a lot of traders, bro. Especially if you ever go the route of that trade floor. I can't tell you how many people are trying to open up a trading office in Florida. I've gotten a couple of people hitting me up to try to get me involved on that. So like,
I was gonna say, when's your office opening up? I want to come visit,
bro. I looked for a space in Kathy Wood's building. It's because Kathy Wood moved to St. Pete, where I'm at.
That's right.
So her headquarters is now at this building called 200 Central. So I go to my brother-in-law, who's in real estate. I go to 200 Central with him. We go into the only space available still in the building, which is inside a co-working space. So it's not even like its own office, right? It's in the co-working space. They wanted $15,000 a month for 790 square feet. No electronics, no utilities, basic desks. I'd have to bring in everything. And that was $15K a month off the bat on the overhead. And I'm like, why would a trader pay me or this office to come and trade in person when we can do almost all of it virtual? Of course, it'd be more fun.
That's true.
The overhead to me, fun, overhead was way worse than the fun we might have in person, you know? So for now,
no, I'm with you.
I think there's more
especially
scalability
in that world.
outside of that. You know, like you guys are doing it right because the software I think is very scalable. But to just build an office and have guys in there, especially guys that are not trading all the same money, they're just trading their own money. That's not a great. It's not a great business model. They're paying you monthly, you're paying you yearly for the desk. You're not going to make a bunch of money. It'll be fun. You'll be hanging out. But I like working from home. I know we were saying before the podcast, you have your office. I understand why some people do. I've always worked from home other than my DJ job. But once I quit that, I've always been used to working at home. So for me, it would really have to knock my socks off, you know, the offer.
Well, no. And I was going to say, Austin, I mean, the other thing is like, I don't know. Do you follow Sam KB on Twitter?
No, I don't.
Sam. I know you're talking about, Nick. I know you're talking about.
Yeah, Sam, beautiful office. I followed him. Him and I have been friendly on Twitter for a while. We did podcasts together and stuff in the past. He's awesome. You have to find him. Sam KB. Go look right now. Sam KB. He's super popular. I'm sure you've probably seen him before.
Yeah. 10K followers. I got him. I'm following him right now. So he's got an office that they're running. Is that what this is?
Well, he did. He did
actually.
Yeah. James, you tell a story.
Now he's at home. Nick, I see his video on his Twitter now.
So I just saw Nick. You can confirm, but I saw that he had this like cool office space that like you're in. I think it was in Scotland, was it not, or London? Somewhere
Scotland.
He sounds Scottish. So and they all had this sick trading floor, like state of the art, everything. And I saw the other day he's actually moving back. You know,
no, he just dropped the video. He's back at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I think in his world he was sort of more on the educational side, switched back. He was like, I don't need the overhead, don't need the, I like my space. And I totally appreciate that. I think for our regards, that's the downside of being on the software side is it is incredibly technical and like getting on the whiteboard together. And
you would go crazy. A million Slack messages a day, a million.
I would go insane.
You couldn't build that kind, like the way we run our business, me, Tom, and James, like we meet pretty often for like in between coaching calls. We have weekly scheduled meetings. If it was any other business, we would have to be in person. It'd be very hard. I mean, I'm sure the boys agree with me. We do a lot together already. So to keep everything on track, it requires a lot of meetings. So let alone a software project, which is going to be constant tweaks and stuff.
Yeah, it's quite hard. And I know there are also, plenty of software companies that do it remote, and I have, several friends who I went to college with who have gone off and done that. I think also though, just on the content side, we film a lot of news reportings and we plan that stuff out. It's sort of preference, but I think that especially like an educational basis, that can be just as well done from home, especially with Zoom nowadays. It's fantastic. You can just jump into calls like this.
That's what I'm saying. So when's the I got two more questions for you because I know we're coming up to the end. When's the A1 Trading conference? When are we hosting a conference? That's the only thing I haven't seen you do yet, bro. I'm doing seminars. You got a couple other guys doing stuff like that. When are you jumping on the train here? Because you got the office. You could have the guys come to the office, right?
That is true. And we've talked about doing that a little bit, doing like a sort of a meet and greet at our place or setting something up. I don't know. We had talked about doing that in the past. We've just been so bogged down with our projects. You know how it is. I mean, of course, coordinating something like that would take us off of our current ventures, but I would love to. I mean, I think I do have an invitation that's sort of pending from Oanda to speak at one of their conferences in Atlanta. I think will be really cool. I was super flattered. They were like, we'd love to have you. And I was like, really?
That's amazing.
Want me? Like, that's amazing. Like, thank you. Great. Yeah. So my guy that works there, he's been reaching out to me about that. So that will be really cool. A new experience for me because I haven't done a lot of in-person presenting or meet and greets, but I look forward to it. And if you're ever in Atlanta, I'm coming to crash one of yours because that would be so fun.
Dude, I was just going to say, when you do the meet and greet, I will literally fly up for the day and fly right back the same day. It's easy for me. I might be flying to Miami in a week to talk to these guys about some things. So like I can come, I'm easy, bro. I'm all over the place. So that's very exciting. I would love to see that, to see you guys do that. Cause I'm sure your YouTube audience is huge, like huge. So I think you definitely have pull for those tickets, but
I'm sure it would be a fun event. Yeah.
Last question for you. Cause this came in on Twitter. I tweeted, I'm sitting down with Trader Nick. What do you guys want to ask him? First one that comes back, what would Trader Nick do if he wasn't trading? Because I think they just want to know, what would your Instagram or Twitter name be? It'd be like, politician Nick or computer science. What would you do?
It wouldn't be politician, I'll tell you that.
After today, we know that. But what would you do if
you,
just for a fun question, what would you be doing? Something in software, right?
Probably. I think that would probably be where I would really like realistic be doing. I'd be doing something in software. That was what I did before. But definitely software, because I at one point was doing I had really simplified version of what I was doing, where I was trading and YouTube, and I had an editor, and that was like my whole world. And I worked from 7 a.m. to about 11 a.m. and then the rest of the day I had nothing to do, and I hated it because I am like guilty of almost being like a workaholic. I work way too much. I'm sure you guys have the same disease.
That's weird. It's weird. Yeah. Like I'm young, 20-year-old professional guy. I only work 4 hours a day. It's like, that's not the entrepreneurial spirit in us, is not satisfied.
I lived that life for a few months, and I just realized like it was kind of lonely. I was just like, I feel like I'm underutilizing what I can do. Yes, but you get to a point, especially with like swing trading, it takes me an hour a day to trade, and that's all I need to do. And I set my trades up, I manage them, I update them, and that takes me very brief time. Yeah. So, I really started diving in, like, what could I do to actually stay busier and do cool things? And my only other, I guess, ability is the software side. So that's kind of where we've slowly meandered over time. So
I love it. Well, listen, Nick, perfect timing. This has been amazing, bro. It's always good to speak with you. I'm sure the audience found a lot of insight and a lot of value. They probably heard some things, at least I did, that I had never heard you speak on. So I think that'll be good, because like I said, you do make a lot of videos. So some of your loyal followers hopefully will have found some nuggets that maybe they didn't even hear yet either. So for now, I think we'll wrap it here, boys, if that sounds good to you. And then what we'll do for everybody listening, comments on Instagram on these posts, comments on YouTube. Let us know what you want us to ask Nick in the next episode that we sit down with him, maybe mid 2023, maybe towards the end. We'll see how things are doing, see how the market's going, see what the Fed is doing and all that stuff. But again, Nick, appreciate you very much, bro. Thank you for the time. And for everybody listening, watching, we appreciate you guys as well. And we'll see everybody in the next episode. Thanks, boys.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Question for you guys.
Yeah.
So you guys are on the coaching side. Yeah. We don't do too much coaching.
Okay.
There could be something where we potentially share. We've recently launched, Julie, who's on our marketing side. We've been sort of offering Edgefinder trials and Edgefinder affiliates to partners, where we basically do like rev share.
You read my mind.
If you guys are interesed, if you want free copies of the Edgefinder,
we should definitely talk about that, because if we are, like, as you're talking about that, this is what I like to do. I like to, if we're using other products and I like the guys running the company, it's a win-win. It's not, if it's going to help my guys and it's going to help your company, that's a win-win. So I would love it if you could set me up with a trial or whatever. I don't need it for free. I'd like to pay and support. So we would love to check it out. And then if I like it, we should definitely come up with something where I can have an affiliate link, the boys can have a link, and we can get some of our guys on it. Because I think on the macro fundamental stuff, Forex Factory is good, but like, to be partnered with you, you have a good reputation, like you're well known. I think it would make sense for us. It could.
Yeah. Well, if you guys send me your emails, I will definitely not make you pay for it. You can have it for free. You can try it out, play around with it. And if it's something I don't want you to, you don't have to use it, but if you play around with it and you're like, wow, I could actually see myself using this on a consistent basis
100%.
And put it into I want it to be genuine. So, but if you actually end up are like, wow, I like this tool, why not share it with your audience and get paid for it?
So, I like it. I'll send you everybody's emails right now, and we'll make it happen this week. Thank you, Nick. That's very kind of you.
You're welcome. I'd be thrilled. I mean, just to know, like, if we could refer you guys in terms of like, because we don't do a lot of coaching. We really veer away from the educational side, but I know you guys are like specialists in that. So
we're deep.
We specialize in the software.
Our coaching program has a wait list right now. It's been working really well because we've been really focused on helping people get funded. Tom being one of the more recent guys, about beginning of last year, he quit his job and went full-time being funded. So we're kind of like, we're trying to get that model down perfectly to take somebody, especially, bro, we've been finding a lot of success with new traders. The guys that have been trading for 6 years, they are the hardest ones to coach, you know?
Oh yeah. I can see that. Yeah, I could see that because they don't want to change. They're like, I know how to do it.
Yeah. Exactly, bro. You give them the strategy, they'll be like, okay, I'm going to do all that, but I'm just going to change the stop loss, right?
Yeah.
Like Tom Joey, like Jesus Christ, bro. It's making my life hard. But yeah, Nick,
for sure,
amazing, bro. I'm going to send you the email right now, and we'll definitely test that out this week and next week, and then we'll circle back.
Cool. So what I'll do is I'll have Frank. He's the my trading partner designer. He will probably reach out with once you get your access, and he'll maybe just like give you some trade. He's a trader, so he knows all the same stuff that I do, and you can go back and forth with him if you have any technical questions, or with me, either way. Cool. But they're kind of managing that whole system where you'll get credit for anything you sell. I'll just link you in with them because they have all the information. That's kind of their campaign. But I would love, I mean, if you guys are playing around with it and you're like, I love this thing, I want to feature it, 100%. and you'll get share.
100%. I love it.
Amazing.
All right. Thank you, Nick.
That, Nick. Cool.
Really appreciate that.
Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
You.
Yeah, sounds good, Nick. Thanks, man.